What's going on, everybody? Welcome down. Jason, how you doing, buddy?
Hanging in there. I'm hanging in there.
You like this song?
I do. I was going to ask you. We got a new song today.
I'm always going to come in with a new song, royalty free. I'm going to give them a free plug as usual, artlist.io. I love them. Good stuff, man. Right?
It's like Kanye meets The Weeknd meets
No
Maxwell.
idea who it is. All I know is I listen to it. I like it. And in 2021, in the TikTok world, it doesn't even matter anymore. If it's a good song, it's a good song, right? And welcome everybody down, watching on YouTube, watching on Twitch, watching on Facebook to our first ever Q&A.
Yes.
So EP01 of the DJ's Guru Q&A, question and answer. So I realize, Jason, and you're probably in this boat too. First of all, it's been a heck of a year, and we all know that. And we've done like 15 shows now, and I realized that I came out hard with this new brand, and a lot of people already knew who I was. I'm very fortunate in that way. A lot of people know who you are. So we came out and we wanted to bring content, we wanted to bring guests, we wanted to bring great topics, manufacturers, everything that I could, everything I could get, I wanted to do. We've got owners from Germany. We've made things happen. It's been great, and I've enjoyed every second of it. So
I have too. I was pissed last week that I couldn't.
Yeah,
2
we
weeks
missed
ago.
you last week, man. That was a
Hey,
good
gigs
show.
are coming back. Gigs, what are you gonna do?
That's it. I'm gonna lose you now to gigs. Anyway, by the way, speaking of that, I want to commend Jason on COVID shot number 2. He is a little under the weather. He had it this morning.
Last night.
Yeah. So he is mustering through. We're going to get through this. And he had his second shot. Congrats on that. Good job. Good work.
Hey, I gotta have it to get into the gig. So you do what you gotta do. But yeah. So if you hear me, I'm all a little nasally and under the weather. But you know what? Yeah. I'm saying if you're gonna do it, get them both and rock on.
We just wanted to throw that out there so everybody understood why Jason was a little under the weather today. And thank you, Jason.
I got my ginger ale. I got my Gatorade.
Taking your Pampers off. And I know you're so used to star treatment, but not today. Yeah. Today, we need your expertise. So anyway, as I was saying, we've never really paused and just done a show with you and I. I mean, you started off as a guest. You were a guest first, talking about your favorite virtual DJ, as we all know.
That was a really good episode. I have to say that was one of the best ones, and it was our first one.
Yeah. I had no clue what I was doing. I really didn't.
I still don't.
I'm still trying to figure it out. So anyway, we didn't ever have a chance to really kind of talk about what we do, what you do. And I wanted to start a Q&A because part of our life is answering questions one way or the other, because we represent products, we represent brands. We also have insight into a lot of things. So constantly we're getting asked questions. And I said, you know what? Why not just do this live? I get amazing questions. I know other people can benefit from this. And I'm lucky and fortunate enough to be working with alongside Jason Longobardo, Just Jay of Vital Pro, and someone who is what I consider to be an audio expert, because this gentleman has invested his life into speakers
since I was 12.
Like,
I'm 12.
I'm like the lighting guy. Like I'm speaker guy. I'll get you gear, DJ gear, accessories. I'm all over the place. Jason is like speakers, audio,
24 hours a day, phone calls about speakers.
Yeah. So first of all, thank you, because I know there's probably a million people out there that you've helped, that you haven't gotten paid to do it. You just share information, and I think it's a great opportunity that I have a platform to say thank you to you for your years of service in the industry. And I'll give you the opportunity to kind of talk a little bit about what you've done. And then we'll go into some great questions that we have. And then, of course, we want to say hello again to our audience. Hello, everybody. What's up, Brandon? How are you, my friend? Watching on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. So if anyone out there has questions, and if you're watching on the replay, feel free to drop questions in the comments. I answer comments. I will get back to you. So this video will live forever, and we are always here to help at the DJ's Guru. You can contact us at thedjsguru.com, and of course, at all social medias at the DJ's Guru. So, Brandon, I'm gonna Jason, I'm gonna give the screen to you and talk a little bit about
the whole screen. You're gonna give me the whole screen,
man. You're the star of the show today. Talk a little bit about your history, and then why do I consider you an audio expert? What gives you those credentials?
Because I answered your question about drivers on a computer. That's why I'm the audio expert, right? No, but that's how this all came to be. We always think that, a lot of us have been doing this for a really long time, but there are things that we either never really knew the real answer to or how deep things go. And during our career, they just kind of fall to the waistline and we never bring it up again. And then there's an instance where that might come back and we're too embarrassed to ask about it. And I mean, I'm always asking questions all the time too. So when you and I were talking about that, it was a great idea for a show to say, like, there's no stupid questions for this show. We want to hear the ones that you're embarrassed to ask because you think that people are going to come and say to you, why would you ask that? We don't know everything. There's plenty of things that people are probably going to say I said wrong tonight too. But, this is what I've done my entire career. I've never strayed from doing this. I mean, my first soiree into audio, I worked at Sam Ash in the pro audio department and ran the DJ section out of the White Plains store. After that, I worked for Gemini DJ in inside sales, and then I moved up to product specialist. So during that time, I was, traveling the country, training the reps in different territories. I was working with the engineers and the marketing team to come up with new products, interfacing with the manufacturing in China. After that, for the longest stretch of time, I worked for an independent audio rep firm out of New York City, where I sold brands like RCF, EAW, Mackie, Audio-Technica, Westone, in-ears, some pretty big names too, like Digico, mixing consoles, PowerSoft, Addison line arrays. So I've always been around live music and big PAs, big speakers, and have been in some of the most beautiful manufacturing facilities in Italy and in the US to see how things were made. I am not an acoustician, which is actually a real job. I mean, these are scientists of sound. And acoustics. That is not what I do. I'm not a speaker builder. I'm terrible at building things, but I am the middleman between all of that. I'm the guy that connects with the manufacturers, with the salespeople, with pretty much everybody to make it all come together. If it wasn't for somebody like me, the engineers couldn't talk to the salespeople, and the salespeople couldn't talk to the marketing people, and yada, yada, yada. So the company I'm with now, you have under my name, Fital Pro. That's an Italian speaker component manufacturer in northern Italy, in Milan. And we provide raw frame or, raw speaker drivers, however you want to call them, to pretty much all of the major speaker manufacturers throughout the world. My territory is North America, so I handle anybody that manufactures product here in the USA. I sell to distributors. I sell to DIY guys, to hi-fi guys, to companies like Danley and Community, and to guitar bass cabinet guys as well. So pretty much the broad spectrum of where a speaker can go. This year, my focus is on finding some more niche markets, things like pinball machines and kiosks for malls and RVs. I'm working a lot with Harley Davidson guys that are building these custom $100,000 bikes that are going to competition like the cars used to do. So pretty much anywhere you're going to find a speaker, I want to be a part of it because we make pretty quality stuff. So, all right, should we get right into the questions? I don't want to talk about me too much. It gets kind of boring, but.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think you summed it up pretty much right there, my friend. And I mean, let's not forget, Jason, you are something special.
Alter egos.
Being a DJ. You're not just any DJ, my friend. You are a luxury event DJ, and you work specifically and exclusively. It'll get a bigger lie every time.
A bigger lie every time. I like that.
Now it's exclusive. You are the exclusive opening DJ for our friends at Hanson.
Oh, I'm like DJ Lethal of Limp Bizkit. That's really, who I am, but for Hanson.
All right. It's Jess Brockwell. Yes.
Yeah, there it is. At least somebody remembers.
I love it. All right. So anyway, now let's get on to the Q&A. And I know everyone's got some questions too. So feel free to drop your questions below if you're watching this on the replay. Again, feel free to drop questions on anything you may have.
That's the whole point today. Yep.
Yeah. If I don't know, I'll ask Jason, and we'll get you an answer one way or the other.
And I brought my handy dandy Bible.
Yeah.
This I've had since college. So I have a degree in recording. There's a glare here, but it says the Sound Reinforcement Handbook, and it's manufactured by Yamaha. This is one of the best books for audio for anybody. It's like $10 on Amazon. They don't pay me to advertise that, but this is the book. So most of my half-ass answers tonight will have come from that book and part of my experience in the field. So,
by the way, fun fact for you, Yamaha is the largest musical instrument manufacturer in the world, and it's not even close.
No, it's not
even close. Jason, give me an idea of do you know the scale of the difference? The first
snapshot I had of how grand it was it was like 2008. I got to go to Frankfurt, Germany to Musikmesse, which is basically NAMM of Europe. And it's about 100 times bigger than NAMM because it's all of Europe are going to this show. Yamaha had their own building, and the building was the size of the NAMM building. That's how big they are. Wow. And you had to take like golf carts to different sections of the building if you wanted to see pianos or if you wanted to see speakers. I mean, it was massive. I mean, they're multi-billion dollars.
It's funny, in the DJ world, we think we're this big, massive entity as an industry, and the reality is we're pretty small in comparison to the world when it comes to music. But the good news is we're growing, and with the DJ's Guru and everything that we're doing here, we're coming together, we're helping each other, and we're all gonna learn, grow, and succeed together. So that said, let's get to the questions. Audio expert, Dr. Audio, Jason Longobardo.
Dr. Audio.
Let's talk about balanced versus unbalanced, cable and otherwise. So my first question to you would be, all right, make sure your sound is balanced. You hear that all the time. So my first question is, in basic terms, what is balanced sound before we get to cable?
All right, I'm going to stop you because you're even leading in with misunderstanding of it, and that's fine because a lot of people don't know.
I'm trying to make sure that I ask the questions that I see and I hear and the way that they come to me, so you can explain it and I don't look stupid.
It's all about how the cable is made and for what application it's being used for. So balanced versus unbalanced. We'll start with unbalanced because that's probably the most common. And the easiest way to explain it would be an RCA cable. So you have a red and a white or a red and a black cable. And inside that cable, it's basically there's copper or aluminum of some type of conductive metal that's going to transport signal from one end to the other. On an unbalanced cable, it's only one conductive wire on the inside with shielding around it. And the shielding usually goes to a ground of some sort. It's the most common that you would see on any home stereo or back when you're using CD players, things like that. It's typically used for really short runs. And those short runs, because they're short, they're less susceptible of picking up outside interference. So if it's short, it's 2 or 3 feet. It's behind your CD player and your rack. You get your left and your right side. That's what it is. Now, it's not just RCA. You can get 1/4 inch. That's unbalanced. And typically it's the same theory. It's, a single conductor wire on the inside that's wrapped a certain way. But you might be using that for a guitar instead of a CD player. So unbalanced is pretty much more of like a scaled back or underbuilt cable that you use for things like CD players, iPods to connect into RCA channels. And they're not shielded. So long runs could pick up noise from the outside, whether it's radio frequencies or bad electric or fluorescent lights, but they're fine when you're doing short runs and you have no other choice other than RCA. Balanced is where you're going to get more into a pro scenario, and you're going to have 2 conductor wire on the inside and a ground. And the reason why there's 2 conductor wire is basically it's sending the same exact signal to and from the source, but in reverse polarity. And what that does is you get sound cancellation. So during the length of the cable, there's actually no noise going through it, and it's converted back when it gets to the unit, whether it's your amplifier, mixer, speaker, whatever it might be. So when you have longer runs, because you have this phase cancellation of the 2 conductor wires on the inside of it, it reflects noise better, and then it's also shielded a little bit better for double protection. And then it's grounded, so it does take any of that noise that it gets, and it just sends it through into the ground, kind of like electric. If you're an electrician, similar things like that. Now, this is used for longer runs or things that would be more susceptible to picking up noise during the runs. If you're on a stage, there's going to be park hand lighting. There's going to be a lot of other things going on. There's amplifiers for the guitars. There's microphones, all these other things. Maybe you're in a metropolis area and there's a lot of radio frequencies. So typically, if you had to choose, I would always choose a balanced if you could. But in a scenario where the CD player, where it's RCA to RCA, you're not going to have that option. But you could buy a better quality cable or look for one that has better shielding, and you'll be fine. So it's really just a matter of what you're protecting yourself from noise. So if you can.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to just cut you off really quickly because I like to do that. Is cable?
No.
Okay. So like I can go on that website that I fucking hate. We know what that is, right? Yeah, I cursed and I'm not passionate about it. And we can get cheap cable, right?
Right.
Doesn't matter where it's from. It's cheap cable.
Cable is not cable. I mean, there's a thousand variables that make it better or worse.
Give me one small variable that separates a name brand cable, and I'm gonna just throw out like Hosa or Pig Hog or what's another
Planet Waves,
Rapco. Stop with names. I only want to talk about names that I like.
I'm trying to get us sponsors.
No, hold on. Anyway, but brand name cables, right? Cables that you've heard of before. Let's put it that way.
Right.
Give me one variable that makes a difference and why like you want to maybe spend $1 more.
Well, I'll start with the thing that breaks most often, and that's the connector itself. So the connector is in some type of housing. You know what? I wish I had something here, which I do, but I don't know where. Essentially, it's the housing that will break around the connection end. People tend to like Neutrik because it's a little bit more overbuilt. It's something that a regular person could put together themselves without soldering the raw cable onto the connector. If it does break, you could field replace it because it screws. Just get a little sunglass screwdriver and you're able to replace it. So buying a cheaper cable, you're going to get less shielding. And on the inside of the cable, if you have just like it almost looks like aluminum foil versus like braided cable. So when you open up a cable, you see all this like metal wire that's braided together. That gives it more durability when you're wrapping it up and storing it, when you're bending it and flexing it, when you're pulling it over long distances, it rejects a lot of the noise. So the less quality of shielding on the inside could determine the life of that cable. And then the connectors on the end. And then the type of conductive wire that's on the inside. Copper is typically the best. There's ones where you'll see gold tips on the end of certain things. So the more expensive the material, the better the cable's going to be. They'll pass signal, but for how long and how well?
I live by the statement of buy once, cry once. And the stuff that I buy generally lasts me for the lifetime that so far, everything I've ever bought, I still either have it or I sold it and it was in great condition. It worked.
Right.
Because I buy quality stuff and I take care of it. So you don't necessarily need to continue to buy stuff over and over again if you buy the right stuff.
Not at all.
That's what it comes down to. And I think overall, if you're going to be in this business, if you're someone that loves music, that loves to DJ, that loves to play music in one way or the other, why buy things 10 times? It doesn't make sense. Right. So anyway.
So there's a good question. Let's stick with the questions. How can you tell what's on the inside of the cable by looking at the outside? Typically you can. There will usually be markings on high quality cables that will give you some type of indication of the gauge of the wire, the type of material that's inside. If you have it and it doesn't say it, if you have the ability to screw off the end, you'll be able to pull back the shielding and see. If you're buying something new, everybody is going to list on the packaging what's on the inside of it. And I think that the quality test will really go by you picking it up. If it's hard to coil, if it's super stiff and not flexible, if there's cheap screws on the end of the connectors that really don't stay into place, you know what a good cable is versus what a bad cable is. So, and price reflects that as well. Mogami's not going to charge $100 for, a 20-foot XLR because it's a piece of junk. It's, the price is going to reflect that.
Follow-up question. I think you kind of answered it, but and I also want to say this, like, conversely to what I said before, like you can find good quality cable that doesn't have a brand name that you've heard on. I'm not here trying to just homer brands that I like. But most of the time, you do get what you pay for when it comes to cable. Do you agree with that? And then,
Yeah, of course.
Robert, thank you so much for your question. We really appreciate it. He wants to know if there's anything specifically he should look for.
It all depends on what the cable's doing. If it's so before, when we were talking balanced versus unbalanced, that was typically for transmitting a mic or a line signal. But there's also speaker cable, which does neither of those. It's transmitting, the powered signal from the amplifier to the speaker. With cabling like that, the gauge is important depending on how much power you're sending over that line and how long it's going to be. So the lower the number of gauge, the more wire there will be on the inside. And the more wire that's on the inside, the more signal that's going to pass over a longer distance. So with speaker cables, the gauge is important. And then the material, if it's, like I said, copper seems to be the go-to, but there are other ones that are out there. You just have to look. I mean, I'm less looking at the material because the cables that I buy are all typically, I would say, medium quality. I'm not buying $200 cables. I'm buying, $50, $60 cables.
Most of the time, most of the cable I own, honestly, is Hosa. Hosa brand is what I own, mostly because that's what I've had access to. But to me, it didn't ever make sense to buy the really expensive stuff, and I wasn't going to buy the cheapest stuff.
Well, it depends on what you're doing. So the really expensive stuff is going to be for higher quality systems, and it could be home hi-fi, it could be recording. If you're in a recording studio and you have a bunch of ultraviolet lights, or you're in an industrial place where there's, the electricity is weird, the cheaper the cables, you're going to hear noise over those cables. And if you're recording music, you don't want all of that. And then the home hi-fi guys, think of it like this. If you're going to buy, $200,000 Lamborghini, are you going to buy, cheap brake lines for it? No, everything needs to be relative to the entire system. So, if you have $50,000 speakers in your home hi-fi, a $2,000 speaker cable is relative. I'm not going to go to, Home Depot and just buy a spool in the audio section for $20,000 speakers.
And that is what, when you're looking at online and you're looking at speaker packages, that's the cable the cable that's coming with it is generally going to be the cheap stuff, not the good stuff. So keep that in mind and be careful and wary of those types of things. And it does make a difference. So I don't want to, we're already talking about stuff that's only exciting to us. So
no, that's not true. There's one other thing for balance and unbalance, and this came up in the Facebook post when we were talking about it. There is a way to change that signal. If you have, an 1/8 inch coming out of an iPod or a cell phone or a laptop, and you need to go into a really expensive rig at a concert somewhere into a $100,000 mixing board, you're not going to use an 1/8 inch to an RCA into the back of a $75,000 Digico console. But they do make direct boxes or converters where you could take an unbalanced signal or cable, plug it in, and then it does the conversion inside the box, and then you could run it 100 feet over an XLR, and you're going to have all of the advantages of that. So
for instance, let's say you're a new DJ and you're getting out there and you're doing events, and maybe you have a controller or something with unbalanced output, right? RCA output.
Right.
Is this that type of situation?
Right. And a lot of people, what they do is if they're buying a controller that has, let's say, just RCA output, and back in the day, all of the Vestex battle mixers that we used to sell in retail, it was RCA outputs because they were going into a console of some sort in a venue or at a DMC, or it was a bunch of bedroom guys that were plugging into like a Sony amplifier in their house.
A lot of people just plugged it into the line on the back of the mixer that was already there and just played it through a channel.
Right. So, but what I see now in a lot of those packages are, you have your $300 or $400 controller and it has RCA or unbalanced 1/4 inch output, but then they run it into like a little Mackie mixer or Yamaha mixer or Allen Heath mixer, and that will change it to balanced, as you come out of that Mackie mixer. Now, just because it's 1/4 inch, it still could be balanced.
But the integrated systems like a J-Mix or a 30M or 50M from Electro Voice, do you know if those are going to have the same type of effect? Because I personally looked at a question earlier in an Evolve group, and somebody had the exact question, like, is my DDJ 400 output into my Evolve 30M, which has an integrated mixer, is that going to now be balanced? Is that going to convert it to balance? And I don't think you can answer that question.
Well, no, because
I don't think it is. The answer really, as far as I know, is no.
No, but what they're doing is they're buying a cable that has an unbalanced end and another unbalanced end, but that the one of those ends could essentially be balanced. So if it's 1/4 inch, for instance, if there's 2 little black rings around the actual plug, it's tip ring sleeve, that'll be balanced. But if you're just simply taking an RCA and converting it to a tip ring sleeve to put into the back of a Evolve or a JMix, it's still an unbalanced signal. You would have to change it somewhere sooner. You don't want to change it. You don't want to have it go directly to the amplifier source on one of those speaker systems before you change it. So
got it. All right, now next topic. Cable. Since we're talking about cable, let's talk about
we answered that
the ends of the cable, and like XLR is kind of in the world of DJ mobile now. You know, everything is.
Hey guys, I'm sorry about the tissues and everything. I'm struggling over here.
Don't worry about it. Thank you for mustering through. But you know, for anyone that's watching this that doesn't know and is new to DJing and maybe doesn't know the difference, let's just talk really quickly about RCA 1/4 inch, and then you have 1/4 inch TRS or 1/4 inch balanced, right? And then
TRS is balanced,
right? Well, exactly, but it's sometimes it's written different ways. So
right.
TRS is balanced, so that's a nugget.
And TRS stands for tip ring sleeve, and that means it's basically the 2 conductors inside of the wire, which would be a positive and a negative, and then a ground. So and that's essentially exactly what an XLR is. It's just a different type of connector plug. Right. The RCA is, everybody's seen them before, red and white or black and red, and it connects a CD player.
Level kind of line level connector. So like back in the day, if you show your controller here, you know, your CD player into your mixer line level.
Yeah, go back to that shot, by the way.
Oh, you want to show off your?
No, I'm just saying. So on the top where it's a Denon MIDI controller, but that's going into an analog mixer on channel 1 and channel 2 with just 2 RCA cables. So yeah, there's no other option for that. Just like a CDJ, other than using the Cat5 cable for all of the syncing ability and data transfer, it's still connecting to an analog mixer with a red and a white or a red and a black RCA.
So when we think RCA, we want to think component connection.
Yes.
We're not thinking speaker audio output.
No.
Right? Never. Okay. Got it. All right. Now let's move to 1/4 inch and 1/4 inch TRS. So 1/4 inch can act as a sound output transfer cable, correct?
So there's typically 2 types that you would use.
1/4 inch lives a lot in DJ and the musician world. I mean, every guitar is a 1/4 inch input, right?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So 1/4 inch, any guitar bass player, that's your only option to connect an instrument to an amplifier through 1/4 inch. That's unbalanced, but at the same time, it doesn't need to be blocking out all types of noise and everything, because it's going into an amplifier that's making noise that you're probably not going to hear anyway. And the impedance is different, so the volume is going to be different in that regard. But there are amplifiers that will connect to a speaker with a 1/4 inch plug on the end of it, but on the inside, it's speaker wire versus the 2 conductor wire that you're sending signal. So if you were to take a guitar 1/4 inch and plug it into an amplifier and into a speaker, you might get sound, but you're also probably going to damage the speaker. It's going to sound terrible. So you just have to make sure one's an instrument cable. And somebody asked before, how can you tell by looking at the cable? Well, on an instrument cable that connects a guitar to an amp, it'll say on an instrument cable and it'll give it its impedance. If it's a speaker wire that goes from an amplifier to a unpowered speaker, it'll say speaker cable. So that's important too. Now, as we get into powered speakers, we're using XLR for microphone, which was D8 into a mixing board. But now we're doing that where it's going from a mixing board or a DJ controller into a powered speaker, because all you're doing is moving the amplifier into the speaker, and the speaker wire that's connecting from the amplifier to the components is inside the box. So there's still speaker wire in there. It's just you're taking that signal wire and making it longer. So 1/4 inch, there's one for guitars, which is called instrument cable, and then there's one for speakers. If you're still using it for speakers, we need to have a talk. And then XLR is going to be used for either a microphone or self-powered speakers coming off of a console or a DJ controller.
Also,
why are you laughing at me?
No, because when we need to have a talk is right. And 1/4 inch, if you're using it for microphone, we need to have a talk. That pop, that's your 1/4 inch cable. Okay, every time
that's consumer type stuff. That's like if you go to Walmart and you buy a karaoke machine, it's the cheapest.
You never want a microphone with a 1/4 inch cable. Get rid of it. right now, unless your controller has the 1/4 inch input and that's why you have it. I'm not here to judge, but if you're a professional, you want to make sure you have an XLR cable because, again, you never have that pop. It's the right connection.
You asked before about DJ controllers. You asked before about DJ controllers and the connections on the back of them. And I was going to say, every single level controller has different quality components on the back, whether it's the XLR, the RCA, the 1/4 inch. You could call Pioneer and they'll tell you what they're using in each specific one. But if you're buying like a $200 Wego or even a $500, RB or whatever the current model is, it's probably going to be the same inexpensive input jacks on the back of that. But if you start to go up to like a G-Tor or CDJ 3000, they're going to start putting in better components and the sound transfer is going to be better. So with a microphone, if you're using a Pioneer controller, and we all had an SX at one point that had the terrible mic pre on it, that's what you get when you put in a cheap component on the other end.
Jay, not all of us have gray hair, okay? So
that was like 3 years ago that happened.
Okay.
So anyway, it's
like we do.
As
I'm 29.
No, not even close. You're older than I am.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, it's more than just the cable too. It's what you're connecting it to, and you'll hear mixer companies brag about their preamps because the better the preamp, the better the input is going to sound. And typically, you could hear it with a microphone. So
you're so smart. You're so smart, Jason.
Oh, smart, or just read a lot. Yeah, there's going to be like a real audio guy that watches this and be like, Jay's wrong.
I love letting you do your thing. I love it. This is like I was so excited to say, yo, I canceled our guests because I can't put it together, and I'm gonna let you. I got an idea, and this is it. Let's just do it live. And
is it going well?
You're doing great. That said, let's say hello to our audience. What's up, Robert? This guy is getting a t-shirt. This guy's getting the t-shirt tonight. He asked some great questions. Robert, send me an email, info@thedjsguru.com with your name and your address and your t-shirt size, and you get a t-shirt. Boom. Love it. Freddie!
Give him something. Freddie? Anybody that compliments me should get something.
Listen, this is your day, Jason.
Yeah, figures. I'm like half dead, and today's my day.
This is your reward for shot number 2, okay? Thank you. The world thanks you. So anyway, Freddie, yes, he's very knowledgeable. Let's not make his head too big. Great info. Yes, Jason. Yes, Jason's smart. We get it. Anyway, Jason. Freddie is hello, Jason.
Yeah, something's ringing. So okay.
Is that Hanson?
I wish.
Freddie Lopez is. Thank you for watching, Freddie. He is actually the administrator of a group called DJs Producers Remixers. Shout out to them. Great group of guys and girls. So shout out to them. Thanks for anyone who's watching from there. Anything we could do to help anyone from that group, tell them Freddie sent you. And Freddie,
I got to join that group because I'm into that stuff too. I just don't use it.
A lot of good people in that group. It's similar to the group that we have that I don't like to talk about a lot, but it's good people that want to help. And Freddie runs it well. He does a good job.
Awesome.
Good job, Freddie. DPR, baby. Yeah. My pleasure. Yeah. Love this guy. And yes, we've done business.
Wait, click him back. I want to see his profile picture.
Everyone that I do business with becomes like my friend, and we work together. We help each other out. Of course. You're welcome.
Speaking of shout outs, I said to myself today, I'm going to shout out Joe Brasco. There's no beef there. Just got to let him know. And he joined the group today, so that's awesome. We appreciate it. But listen, I'm also, I could be a dick sometimes, but it is what it is.
We all can. Because I
didn't like you for the first 5 years I knew you.
I don't care.
Shout out to Joe. You're a good dude, man. You're a good dude. And all the Philly guys.
I do what I can. Philly's got a lot of DJs, man.
Aggressive DJs, man. Aggressive DJs. They're good too.
They are. I know. Philly's got a lot of DJs. We're gonna do a hangout there. Joe Brasco. If you see this, reach out to me. I need to know a good spot in Philly that we can go to a bar and hang. And I know it's South Street, right down there. I got to be honest. I went to Philly once. I didn't have a good time. But
because you're probably a sport man and you hate all their teams.
Let's not talk about that. But anyway, I want to go there for the music. That's what I want to go there for. So anyway, Philly, shout out to Philly. Philly in the house. I love it. What's up, Philly?
There we go.
Rodney, what's up, man? All right. So let's get to the next topic here, because I know we're losing you soon to
No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Sorry that I'm
your man-child syndrome. This freaking guy. He literally called me up this morning crying. He said, I don't think I can do it. No, he didn't. I'm kidding. He didn't.
I called a couple other DJ friends
crying. The next question that I get, and that I get a lot, and I think a lot of people are going to get a lot out of this, because I've always known it. I just kind of know stuff, but I don't realize I know it. I just do it, you know?
Okay.
And then when you describe it, I'm like, oh, yeah, right. So gain versus mix volume versus master volume. By the way, on the DJsGuru.com, there's a great article on this. So if you want a resource, just go to the DJsGuru.com blog review section and you'll find it there. But Jason,
this is my favorite topic.
You broke it down into 3 because usually it's gain versus volume, right? But you went a step further. You went gain versus mix volume versus master volume. So that's a channel fader versus your master fader, right?
Right. And there's going to be a lot of guys that are going to get pissed off because
show me that on your mixer. Show me that on your mixer. Right, where are we talking about?
All right. Let me see if I can do this without making a complete
Move your phone into it.
All right. Hold on. I got to take my headphones out.
Move your phone into it. Remember when Julius was walking around the factory? Perfect. Just use it. Just show it like your FaceTime. Right.
So, hold on. Let's talk about it first, and then I'm going to show it.
Oh my God, it looks horrible.
Hold on.
We just lost everybody.
We need to talk about it first, and then I'll go and show what it looks like. Because go back to me. Come on, click it back over. Hold on.
Oh, I love just showing the mixer.
No, I know it's my pride and joy. One of them. So let's talk about those 3 things first, and I'm going to piss a lot of people off. And I'm not telling you have to change your DJ style, but I'm just going to give you insight on how to sound a little bit better while you're doing it. So gain versus mix volume versus master volume. So there's,
I'll be right back.
All right, be right back. So gain is essentially the source that's coming into your mixer, whether it's a guitar or if it's a CD player or if it's a computer or whatever. So there is something that you're going to play, or even a microphone. So there's something that you're going to have as a source. Let's just use my DJ setup over there. I'm running a DVS system from a computer. So I'm going to load a song. I'm going to put it in, and it's going to go to my mixer. Not every mixer has the ability to see the input gain of what you're playing. All the DJ software does, but let's just in an analog way. So there's going to be a song that's playing on my computer, and it's going to show up on my mixer, and it's going to, you'll have the little LED meter. It'll go up to 0, +3, +6, +12, and it's going to clip at that point. That is the volume of the source. You want to set that volume so that you're not clipping coming into the mixer. Because if you have a shit signal coming into your mixer, no matter what you do, it's going to sound like shit coming out of your mixer. So if the volume is low in the room, but you're clipping your gain coming into the mixer, it's going to be distorted and it's going to sound terrible.
And that's also called garbage in, garbage out, right?
Garbage in, garbage out.
That's like the first thing that you learn in audio school or audio world, right?
Right, pretty much. And it's on page 255 of the Yamaha.
In the manual. It sounds horrible, but I don't know. That's always how I've learned, and how I've always kind of thought about it.
So switch back over to the other one, and I'll play something. One of my favorite songs. So right here, this is my input coming from my source. Up here is my gain. If I turn that down, it's going to lower the volume coming in. I can turn it up and start to clip it. On this, I can't really clip it, but so I want to set that to really be hitting at 0, right there. So I'm not touching this for the rest of the song now. I'm just going to leave that there because that's where it needs to be. Take this loop off. Now, all right, switch back. The next is the mix.
Jason, next time, just no music, okay? Because we couldn't really hear you.
All right. So anyway, and people are talking about it in the comments anyway. It's the source coming in. You want to be able to hit that at 0 dB. You're not distorting it, but you're getting enough juice coming into the mixer that it's going to sound good and not sound bad. The next one is the mix volume. That's going to be your mixing of all your sources. So if you have 2 songs playing at the same time, you're doing a remix, or you're coming in or you're coming out, you're scratching, whatever. That's going to be the blend of the 2 songs together. How much more loud do I want this song versus how much loud do I want this song, and so on and so forth. A lot of battle DJs tend to just throw those faders up all the way, and they don't have any control unless they go back to the gate.
Shorty was talking about that. Shorty was talking about that last week, and that's something that battle DJs and turntablists should understand, because it's not just about the crossfader; it's about all three faders. When you're talking
right, but what depends on what you're doing. It's going to sound. If it sounds fine, it sounds fine. There are guys that are doing so many tricks with the mixer that they don't want to worry about the fader being at certain points, and they're going to do it. But that's not always typical DJing. That's battle DJing. And you're doing that for shows. But if you're doing a club and you're spinning all night, or you're doing a wedding or whatever, you want to leave a little bit of headroom on the mix volume, so that if the song that you're playing, you just need a little bit more enthusiasm on you're coming out of the mix, you have more headroom to go. So you have the volume coming into the mixer, then you have the blend of the songs, and then the last one is the master volume. The master volume is your gas pedal. It's basically now driving what the people in the crowd hear. That's bringing up the volume of your speakers outside. So you have to have all of these balanced in a way, because you can have the master volume down all the way, but you have your gain up all the way and it sounds distorted even though it's low. So make sure your input coming in is at a clean signal, probably around 0 dB plus 3 dB, that your mix between the two songs is leveled, and then your master volume is what the people on the dance floor are hearing and how impactful the sound is on the dance floor.
I want to say two other things, and that was fantastic, Jason. Really, well done.
And I got serious to show off my mixer.
No one can ever tell when I'm serious, and I love that. But well done.
I said I wanted to teach a class really at DJ Expo just on that
was good.
Alone.
A lot of people were agreeing with what you had to say. Thanks everyone for watching again, and that was really well done. But two things I want to talk about that I think are important if you're not doing it, and if you've never done this before, if you're a new DJ watching. Hello, welcome. We're glad to have you here. We want to help you. Let's talk about the LED display on a mixer. When we see red, okay. Is that good or bad?
Redlining is headlining.
So when we see red, though, seriously, as a DJ, do we want to see red on a mixer? Does it matter? Because I've heard, who cares? Sounds good coming out of the speaker, and I'm like, I don't know. I've always known red is bad. No, in anything.
Well, look, I love comparing it to cars, and I'm not like a gearhead or anything, but cars is something everyone can understand.
So LCD on your mixer, should we be in red or not, and why not?
No, you don't want to be in it, because there is always going to be some type of distortion when you're in the red. When you see big festival guys and they have their mixers pinned and it's in the red the whole time, there's another factor that's involved with that, because when they're on tour with a $2 million sound system, there's a guy at front of house that's controlling the sound that goes into the board on his end before it goes out onto the...
It's like a driver's ed instructor.
Yes. So there's going to be there. So the DJ in the booth is railing the mixer, but there's a sound guy that's like, "You're not killing my system." So, but
all right, my next question. Since I just insulted the greatest DJ that ever lived. No, seriously, I've seen that guy live. He is the greatest DJ that ever lived. Yeah, in my opinion.
Listen, you think a guitar player in like Megadeth is worried about the volume of his amp on stage? No, he doesn't give a shit. Right. He's just going to play it, and there's 20 other guys' job to make sure it sounds good.
Yeah, that's right. And a shout out to the sound guys, right?
Shout out to the sound guys.
Shout out to the sound guys that make the talent sound better than they should, because the talent sometimes doesn't really know that.
So I'm going to ask a question on behalf of the people in the comments, because I want to stay on this gain versus mix volume first, and then we'll go into something else. Everybody, the question I get all the time is, for my powered speaker, where should I put the volume on the back of the speaker? This is the probably the biggest question I get all the time.
Oh, and it's full screen for this.
Full screen.
I gotta say, it always depends, no?
Yes, of course. Of course it depends. So there's really two rule of thumbs. There's line level and mic level. And it all depends on how the manufacturer created the pot or the buttons on the back of your speaker to determine where you should put it. It should always be at 0 dB. Now, where it's 0 dB depends on the speaker and, again, how the manufacturer set it up. Let's use a Mackie SRM 450, because I'm pretty sure every single one of you have owned one at some point. The volume pot on the back, there's no buttons. It's just a knob that goes from, 7 o'clock to 6 o'clock. But at 12 o'clock, there's a little indent where you could feel it kind of snap. Now that's where it's at 0 dB if you're plugging a line level into it. So from your DJ controller or from a live mixer, that's at 0 dB. Now, since there's no buttons to change anything, once you go past that 12 o'clock, now you're in mic level. Mics need more power to get more volume out of the speaker. So once you go past that little indent at 12 o'clock, now you're powering what a microphone volume should be. Now on an RCF speaker, there's a button that says mic line. If you hit the line button, 0 dB is when the volume's turned up all the way, that you can't turn it up any higher. If you were to hit the mic button while that's turned up all the way, you're probably going to blow your speakers up because it's just giving it all it's got. So what you need to do is turn that back down almost all the way off, hit it to mic, and then adjust it from there because you're never going to have that mic go up all the way anyway. So if there's an indent on the speaker and no button that says mic line, then it's 12 o'clock is 0 dB. That's where you want to be. If there's a button that allows you to switch from mic and line, all the way up is good.
Should we ever be on mic?
Yes. There are times
when we're doing a PA. But if we're doing live sound for DJ music, should we ever have our speakers mic setting turned on?
Yes, I'll tell you, there's a very simple answer to that. If you're doing a ceremony and you just need to have a microphone with a wire plugged, no wireless mic, just a wired mic directly into the back of a powered speaker, you will not get enough volume if it's set to line. So you have to set it to mic. Whenever you're coming out of a line level source, like a DJ controller or a live mixer, no, do not put it on mic, put it on line.
All right. Well, that's, I guess, the better question. So, and anyway, great question. And we audibled, boom. We got that question answered. So I love that. Thank you, Jason. I think we're good with gain versus volume. And I just wanted to kind of say one other thing, and I'm going to take the full screen on this one. So one thing that I learned when I did, and yes, I've done private events. I did weddings. I give you guys credit out there. I don't want to do weddings anymore. It's fantastic business. I love working with brides and grooms and doing it, but it just was something that was too time consuming for me. So credit to all you out there. But when you're doing a private event, one thing that I've noticed that a lot of DJs don't do when I'm at private events, and something that I've become accustomed to doing when I'm doing a nightclub, is walking the room, going and actually walking around the room and listening to the sound as if you were a guest. So you can be aware of the experience that they're having. And you'll know if it's too loud. You'll know if it's not loud enough. But if you're just staying behind the booth, it's going to sound okay to you. And you're not going to be aware that maybe you're blowing someone out, or conversely, someone in the back corner can't hear your microphone announcement. So check the sound. And also before the gig and during the gig, I do a little bit of a mic check to kind of make sure that I can be heard throughout the event. So it's really a constant thing. You can't just assume what's happening when you do your mic check or your sound check when no one's in the room is going to stay the same. So that's another thing that I wanted to touch on as we went through this, to make sure that I think to walk the room when you're DJing. And a lot of DJs don't do that, but that's one tip that I would say helped me a lot, making sure that I provided a great sound experience for everybody that was there. And I wasn't just having a good time in the back, because as we may not know, but I'm 20% hearing impaired. So for me, I have to do it because I've been so silly in the past with not protecting my hearing. And I won't be aware that it's way too loud out there. So I have to go out there. But it's been good to do it. And I definitely recommend that everybody do that as they're out there doing events. So the last topic I want to talk about, and this is something that I hold near and dear to my heart. We're never going to win this battle as far as trying to give people the logic behind it. And I understand it to a point, and I own 15-inch tops, so I can't sit here and tell you that I haven't done it. I've learned that this is not the right way, and I want to talk about this a little bit. So 15-inch tops and no subs.
Okay.
Let's talk about it a little bit.
So
listen, first of all, let me just premise this. There's going to be events where you don't need subs. Let's 100% say that. There's no reason, especially in the world we're in now. You're doing a backyard event. You don't need subs. All right. We're in agreement with that. So I'm going to leave it there. Jason, let's talk.
I'll disagree with you. You always need subs. It's just a matter of, one, how much are you getting paid, and are you working alone?
But if we're talking acoustically properly, you always want subs. But let's be realistic, and let's also understand that we're people, we're humans. We got to take care of our back, and we're also maybe charging X amount, and we don't want to do all this extra work. So whatever it is, sometimes there's this event where I've been selling, I'll give them a quick plug. RCF HD10 is the perfect backyard speaker because it's just perfect. But anyway, what do you think about 15-inch?
Well, I think the better question is, why is 15-inch more bass than a 12 or a 10? That's the better question.
That's the common conception where they think, all right, I'm getting more bass out of it, so I want to go with a 15. I won't need a sub, right?
But it all depends. I don't think that just by having a 15-inch full range speaker that you're going to get away with not having a sub. When I was working the RCF booth at the DJ Expo, every other question was, what's the best speaker that I don't ever have to bring a sub? And my answer was, there's no such thing as what's going to be better. Do speakers like Bassmax put out more bass in smaller boxes? Yes, they do. But there's more engineering that go behind it. They're a lot heavier and they're a lot more expensive. So if you want to go down that route, you can. But if you want to keep it budget friendly and moderately weighted, the biggest difference is, what's a 15 in a full range box doing different than a 12 inches doing? And the first answer is the frequencies go down lower. So typically in a subwoofer, you're looking at, let's say, 120 hertz to 100 hertz and below are going to be your sub frequencies. When you're buying a standalone sub from Yorkville or RCF or JBL, they're going to be crossed over lower than that because there's only an 18 or 15.
Not JBL. Not JBL.
All right,
only if it's the EON1 compact.
Okay.
Not JBL.
the one that you had an affair with this week. All right. I don't think I didn't see that. So anyway, so does a 15 have more bass than a 12? Not really. It goes lower in frequency, but just because it goes lower, depending on the way that box is tuned and where you're using that box and the construction material of that box, there might not be more bass. So there's a lot of factors that come into play. It also depends on the type of music that you're going to play. If you're playing more hip hop or dance music and the producer is using frequencies that are lower than a rock music producer is going to use with live instruments, then yeah, 15 is going to be, it's going to be able to drive that sound better with less stress on the driver. But if you put a 15 and a 12 next to each other, are you really going to feel a huge difference with the same song? Probably not. Probably not. So if you're really looking for more bass loudness or more depth to it, you're going to need a sub that's on the floor and the box is designed to put out bass frequencies. On a 15 or a 12, it has to balance out the frequencies with the high frequency driver. So there's a crossover point. So that 15 is going to be crossed over at a certain point, and that 12 is going to be crossed over at a certain point. Particularly, I like 12s because I'm always bringing a sub. So the 12 is handling the mid and the high frequencies with the compression driver, and then my 18s are handling all the heavy lifting of the hip hop and the dance music. So yes, you'll hear differences, but is it going to be a massive difference? Probably not. And it's going to depend on the music that you play. So if RCF is selling a 12-inch speaker and the 15-inch speaker is $100 difference, and you're like, why is it such a small difference? It's because you might not actually hear the difference in every scenario. Does that make sense?
It does. So
this is also why these Evolve and these Evox systems are awesome, because they're putting the sub on the floor where it needs to be.
That's the main reason why I love the portable column array, because it forces DJs to buy the sub with the column array and actually put the sound where it should be. So I push that. And also I feel like once you hear it and once you understand it and once you see the way that it looks and you get rid of the poles, it just makes a lot of sense. I'll be honest, I was afraid of it when it first came out, just like everybody else. I couldn't take it seriously. It had a system called the Dave LD, which is a great company now that I'm well-versed in it. I'm like, what's happening?
I was mad the first time I heard the Evox system because I was at the RCF factory. We're listening to, I think it was like an an Iggy Azalea song, and because it was very bass heavy, so I was like, I got to hear what this thing can do. And I was mad because I was hearing things in the song that I'd never heard before, different high frequencies, because there's multiple high frequency drivers, and then the bass was on the ground, hitting and having more impact down there on the ground. And it's a wood box, which has better resonant for lower frequencies. So yeah, they're all around. They're a better design for broader frequencies and more impact on a dance floor. They don't look like they could do much, but think about it. If you have a QSC K12 with a 2-inch or a 1.4-inch high frequency driver, an Evox has 8 of those drivers in it, plus the sub. So you're going to get better coverage. You're going to get better detail on the music. It's going to get louder.
If you go to our page on YouTube, I did a review on Evox 12, and you can really kind of get an idea of what it looks like and how it sounds and all of that. But it's incredible. And there's another level that we'll talk about at some point with RCF and some other brands. But I think the days of the big boxy speaker look is kind of gone, and I think where everyone will be converting to the sleeker styling of the more minimalistic portable column array. And I think it's also easier for DJs just workflow wise. Now, we had a really great comment from our buddy Rob, T-shirt man. When I talked about walking the room and all of that, he said, also for wedding DJs, go stand next to grandma's table. If you know where that is, I think it's important to find that out. Make grandma feel special too. That's another thing. Make sure it isn't too loud or you will hear about it. It's very true. Sometimes we forget as DJs that a lot of what we get is the backlog of what guests will talk about after the event. And we always want what I call, and what I've read, and I've talked about this book before, but we want raving fans. We want our customers, we want our clients, whatever they may be, to sing our praises and to be our best advertisers. At the DJ's Guru, we don't really do any advertising because we try so hard to provide great experiences for the customer, to provide more than just a transaction. And I'm pretty funny. When you get me on the phone, I'll give you a couple bad jokes. I'll probably remember, stuff about you and everything you bought. So it's a different type of experience. But anyway, that said, yes, I'm ready to. I just lost my train of thought, Jason. What was I saying?
Oh, that's fine. I'll give you guys a little speaker tip. When I'm a wedding DJ. That's what I've done for 27 years.
Robert's quote, right? I'm sorry.
Right. So everybody thinks that their speaker system is supposed to cover the entire room at the same volume from wall to wall to wall to wall. No, you want to cover the dance floor. The most important thing off the dance floor is speeches. So what I do if I'm in a really big reverberant room or a room that could hold 200 or 300, 400 people, I'll bring a second set of speakers, and whether it's with a wireless system or just really long XLRs, I'll use an auxiliary off of my live mixer, because I always bring a little Allen and Heath live mixer, and I'll only turn it on during speeches because I want that best man speech to every seat in the house to hear it. But there's no music playing and they're speaking softly. So all 4 speakers are on at that time. Now when the dance floor is ready to get rocking again, subs go, up a little bit louder. I turn off the satellite speakers, and now I'm focusing the music onto the dance floor. You don't want to be killing people while they're sitting at their tables. Like Robert said, find out where grandma's sitting. And I'll do the same thing. I walk around, I'm like, is it too loud? And they'll give me an honest answer or stupid answer, whatever it might be. But that's what you got. You want the dance floor music on the dance floor, and you want speeches everywhere else. So just configure your speakers a little bit differently.
I'm going to give a shout out to Long Island Sound and on Long Island, obviously here in New York, one of the largest mobile DJ companies around. They taught me something that I always will remember. And in the middle of the event, always go up to the bride and groom and do exactly what you just said and ask them all the questions. And I know you don't want to bother them, but even just for 30 seconds, hey, how are you guys doing? You guys look great. You're doing great. Is everything okay? Can I be doing anything better? They'll appreciate that. And they'll either say, you're doing great, and then you can just keep doing your thing and you feel good about it. Or they'll tell you something and you'll have an opportunity maybe to fix a potential bad review that you wouldn't have gotten to fix if you didn't ask that question. So in my business, what I do and what Jason does, and I think it applies to any business, is just be proactive and make sure you're constantly getting that communication back from your client. And when you're a DJ, you want to have that happen in real time, because if you do it after, it's too late. And
Right.
already they've already told 20 people that you sucked. And word travels fast. And don't hire this guy. He's whatever, or this girl, because of whatever. So it's important. Stay with it and ensure that before they leave at the end of the night, they're happy and you've got them. You're satisfied and they're satisfied.
When we hire new guys at our company, the first few gigs that they come to, they're not doing anything other than experience the party. I tell them to walk around, look at how the people are interacting with each other. Look if they're bobbing their head at the table to the music that I'm playing. Look to see how it sounds in certain parts of the room and be a guest. And then find the things as a guest that you like and dislike while you're walking around and you're hanging out, and make sure you pay attention to those when you're actually emceeing and DJing, and you'll make for a better experience for the guests if you tell your guys to be a guest every now and then.
All right, Jason.
Yes.
I'm losing you. I can tell.
Yeah, I'm fading.
So I'm going to let you go, but I got a question earlier that I'm going to answer, and I'm going to stick with everybody here for another few minutes and close out.
I'm going to keep you on the earbuds and just pull my camera down.
Thank you for getting your second shot from everyone here in the United States and the world.
It all came on me to do it.
Thank you for dropping a lot of knowledge. I'm going to chop this up. We're going to share a lot of this, and I am very happy
this book
that you had the opportunity to, flex a little bit. And, this guy, Jason, he's your favorite Facebook troll, but, he really does know what he's talking about. And I didn't bring him into the fold, so to speak, because, because of his grayish beard. It was because of Hanson. No, seriously, though, it was because of his knowledge. And, because I'm constantly doing so many things and trying to produce and bring things together, it's hard for me to be an expert in every part of what I'm doing. I try, believe me, and I know enough to be dangerous. We all know that, but I need people like Jason. I need people like Jeremy Brecken and my buddy Brent Schmidt that are focused in on lighting. I need people like that I can lean on and say, hey, these are people that and let's ask them what they think of these types of questions. So we'll continue to do this, and we'll continue to come out with topics. But Jason, thank you. And let's just say goodbye to your system. Goodbye, Jason.
I think I'm going to spin a little bit when we're...
Hold on, let's give it the full screen. So Just Jay's booth cam and Just Jay's system. What is it like being the tool of the greatest DJ that ever lived, other than Tiesto?
The tool of the greatest DJ that ever lived?
Yeah, that's your tool, Jason. Anyway,
camera off.
Jason, we'll see you, man.
All right, guys. See you in a couple weeks.
All right, later. All right, so... And yes, thank you, Freddie. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing your knowledge, Jason. Yes, we are here to share information, share knowledge. And thank you, everybody, for watching tonight. I do want to say that in 2 weeks, so 2 weeks from today at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, I have confirmed a fantastic hangout with JMaz Lighting. So you've seen me post, and I've sold a lot of JMaz. I'm getting into the brand. I'm learning about the product. They're a new brand. They are supported here in the United States. Great people over there. I am going to be doing a show with them in 2 weeks, talking about some of their really cool products that I've had great success with. Very high quality and affordable option. And they are great people over there. We want to put a little bit of a spotlight on JMaz. So 2 weeks from today, May 20th, live with JMaz, Jason and myself, and JMaz. And now, since Jason's gone and we got the audio expert off and I'm still live. What's up, Rob? I'm going to answer your question now because, Sean, what's up, Sean? How you doing, buddy, man? Gravity stands, for anyone that's watching this, and since I have you here now, Sean, gravity stands have been on back order, and you're not going to see them probably till like the end of this month, we hope. So anyone out there like waiting for gravity stands, if you did get a shipment, you're lucky. A lot of people are waiting for them. It's an industry-wide thing. We've talked about the industry shortage. If you're not sure, if you haven't seen it, go to the DJ's Guru page on Facebook and look at the post. I did an inventory update just to give an idea of the fact that the DJ industry is experiencing the global shortages that the whole world is, raw material cost increases, things of that nature. And you got product literally sitting at ports. You could do an aerial map. You literally have product sitting at ports that just can't get through right now. And that's what we're experiencing right now. It's just a backlog in the supply chain. So I guess I'm here to say I apologize for the world supply chain issue. Anyway, I want to talk about, I got a question on Ape Labs. And Sean, thank you for watching. Good to see you. And I'm going to answer that question right now. I got to find it here, so bear with me. Rob, you had a lot of questions. We'll get to those questions at another time, but I want to talk about this one. Due respect to Ape Labs, just seem to suck when brightness is a concern. I don't own them, so I'm not sure why or how you have that opinion. But that said, to be honest, but in videos, they look super dim. My first thing is, let's not worry about what they look like in videos, because you don't know what that person is capturing it on. You don't know the elements. But I understand what you're saying, and it's a valid concern when you're looking at it from the perspective of not being able to see it in person. They look super dim. Just an honest, uninformed, or experienced opinion. So please educate me as if I'm wrong. He's ready to learn. And that's what I love, that attitude. I'm always ready to learn myself. I did not have a lot of experience with Ape Labs in my previous life. We brought them into the fold as I was jettisoning my way out. And because I started to see the product, the success, I wanted to learn more about it. I got myself a set of sticks. I didn't even break them out till like 2 months later. I started to do a live stream and I took them out and I'm like, these things are great. And it was just everything about them that started to make sense to me. And I then essentially worked my way into Ape Labs USA. We interviewed the owner in Germany, Julius Schrenk, fantastic guy. And everything about the product, when I looked at it, was basically personified when I talked to the owner of the company. He literally took his personality and put it into a product, right? So let's get back to your question, which is brightness. Brightness is really a relevant thing, right? So I think what has been the gauge or the quantifier for lighting and uplights has been the wattage, right? What's the wattage? How bright are they? And obviously that's important because you want them to travel up high. You want them to be a nice looking column. And brightness is something that you would use as a metric to kind of quantify that. But the reality is that when you see these things in person, sometimes they don't always equate. And an LED is not an LED. So what I will tell you is, I don't know what videos you've seen, but I can tell you, and I'm not going to do an Ape Labs video right now, but I literally have them in front of me, and they're Germany. They're all made in Germany. So the LEDs that are in these products are 15-watt LEDs. They are tremendously bright. And not only are they bright, but they're vibrant. They give you a balanced, even, beautiful looking color. And another thing that I'm going to say about brightness is that coming out of the pandemic, some of the things that I've heard are people don't want it as loud. People don't want it as bright. Guess what? They've been trapped in their house for a year. I don't leave this cave very much, so I don't want it that loud. I don't want it that bright. So it's important. And an uplight, of course, the brightness is certainly important, but don't use that as your metric, because the manufacturers, wherever they may be, a 15-watt or a 12-watt or a 10-watt LED from A, B, or C manufacturer is not the same. And I can tell you that we did the interview with the owner. I spoke with him specifically about the LED, and they have a supplier in Germany that makes them for him. It's a unique LED. They are extremely bright and powerful. Value-wise, I have not seen anything as good a value. I'm going to talk about how I don't understand why people think it's expensive. The product's not expensive, but the LEDs just, they look great. And there's more for me to talk about when I do an actual Ape Labs video, but they are bright and they are bright enough. And when you look at a comparison, because there are videos where people actually do a comparison against other items that are out there, they are either as bright or brighter, and they will travel up the wall just as high. But when you see them in person, you'll experience what I've experienced, which is that the color really engulfs you and it's immersive. Where your other LEDs that I've seen from other brands, and I love them. Don't get me wrong. I have Chauvet right behind me right now. Okay. I'm not just an Ape Labs homer. It's nothing about that. It's about the product. But the LED that I've seen compared to some of the other stuff that I've seen, it just has a pop to it that I haven't seen before. So that's what I will say about it. And Rob, come to me directly and I will show you anything you want me to, anything you want to see as far as Ape Labs products. I have them all here. And anyone watching this, if you have any questions on Ape Labs, drop your comments below. You can reach me directly at thedjsguru.com, any of the socials at the DJs Guru. And I have a phone number. If people want to use the phone, 888-378-1744. Or I actually have a text. You can send me a text, 516-388-7885. So that's all my contact info. If you have questions on Ape Labs, if you have questions on any of their products, certainly reach out to me. I'm happy to answer questions. And yes, I sell DJ equipment too. I'm an authorized seller for many brands. So feel free to reach out to me if you need to buy anything. I'm here to help. And I really want to thank everybody for watching tonight. I'm glad we were able to do this Q&A. Thank you to Jason. Thank you to everyone watching on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube. Thank you for everyone watching on the replay. It's been great to have you here tonight. And don't forget, 2 weeks, we have JMAZ lighting on. We're going to be talking about the FX Bar 5050. They have a sparkler called the Firestorm. They have battery-powered moving heads, ladies and gentlemen. Battery-powered moving heads. We're going to talk about those. And it's going to be a great show. So make sure you tune in then. Thank you, everyone, for watching. We'll see you on the flip side. And Robert, Sean, can you stick the sticks to column arrays? Looking for lighting for my Evolves. I'm going to do a video on this, but it depends on the column array. If you're talking about Evolves, which I believe you have, I think I sold them to you, you can't connect the magnet to aluminum because the pole is aluminum. So what you do is the sticks come with metal plates, and then you buy a Velcro system to go on the back of the metal plate, right? And you stick it to there, and then the sticks stick to that if you want to do that. So you don't have to worry about them sticking to the pole. Now, I have Evox 12. Evox 12 has an aluminum pole. Same situation, you're going to need to use the plates, okay? So they come with plates. So anywhere where they don't stick, Ape Lab sticks, Ape sticks come with these metal plates. I should have them in front of me. I don't. But you can take the plates. You use one of those things that you get at the dollar store with the Velcro, like double-sided tape, and you put them on the back, and then they're only like 6 pounds, so they stand there no problem. Any other questions here? Right on. You're welcome, Sean. All right. So if you need sticks, let me know. I am the stick man. I love them. I love them. And Ape Labs, back to Ape Labs, because I just like them. Because this is the reason why. Chauvet, American DJ, moving heads, so many pixel mapping type products, amazing products from those companies. I love them. You know I love them. Again, Freedom Psych right behind me. What's up to my team at Chauvet? Can't even get an Intimidator right now. They're sold out everywhere. Go look. The best moving heads, the focus spots from ADJ, great moving heads. So love those brands. But when it comes to room lighting, decor lighting, Ape Labs has something that's very special to me. And it's not just a singular product, it's a suite of products. So we're going to talk about that at another date. Maybe I'll even come back to you tomorrow and do it. I'm waiting on a shipment, actually. So we'll talk about the lights. And any questions you have, please feel free to reach out to me. I am a concierge service for sales. We're here to help. We're here to spread community. We're here to spread information. And I have some connections with people to get information. I play by the rules. I never give information I can't, but I have a perspective and a unique look into the world of DJ equipment and gear that my 17 years of experience in doing this from one of the largest retailers in the country has taught me. And I listen to DJs as much as I can and learn myself. So I'm constantly learning, and I'm here to help. It's not just about a transaction. I want a relationship with my customers. I want to help you learn, grow, succeed. And we're building something here for the DJ community. So I want to thank everyone for their support. Really appreciate all of your support. Where's my thank you for your support? Again, I really appreciate it. And we didn't do this at the beginning, but we'll do it at the end. I want to make sure everyone's doing well out there. I hope everyone's got a good vibe going on. And it's important. Things are opening up. We're getting back to DJ life as usual. I'm so happy to see everyone working again. I'm so happy to see posts, need a DJ for this date, who's available. I mean, it's great. So I want to wish everyone a good night. I want to wish everyone the best of luck for the rest of the year. 2020 sucked. We're going to make it back in the roaring 20s of 2021 and beyond. Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you on the flip side. And Rob, really great show to everyone who watched. Thank you for your comments. And send me that email. You get the T-shirt. And you see your address and your T-shirt size. I'll have it to you in a few weeks. But thank you, everyone. We'll see you on the flip side. Take care. Bye-bye now.